Hello everybody, I hope you're doing alright as you can be, really. This is a match review of the Leeds United versus Brighton game, which was a tough watch, wasn't it? A really, really tough watch yesterday. I would argue, aside with Crawley, if we're talking league matches, that was the worst performance of the season. Leeds just had no idea. From moment one, we were exceptionally poor, very, very poor. Brighton, well done, thoroughly deserved it. I wouldn't have complained if it was more. It could have been 3 or 4 that game. To say Brighton hadn't scored a goal in 3 as well. Both goals very avoidable, and we'll get into the nooks and crannies of that right now. But before you watch this video, guys, if you wouldn't mind liking, subscribing to the channel as well if you are new. We've got regular content on here weekly. We're trying to step it up as well. So thank you so much for your continued support on the channel. So yeah, in context, we're 9th, okay? Context, we're 9th. Brighton, who looked like they were in 9th and we were in 17th yesterday, are in fact now safe. Now, we didn't go into that game with any objectives, really, in my personal opinion, apart from pride. A lot of people talking about Europe, you need to shake your head. You really do. You need to shake your head with the thinness of this squad and the depth that we have in this squad. Even next season, if we were in Europe, it would be a bad formula for Leeds United. And that's just purely down to the simple reasoning that if Marcelo Bielsa enjoys a small squad, which we all know he does, Leeds pick up injuries pretty regularly, as we've seen under his tenure for 3 years. Us in Europe will be a disaster, in my personal opinion, and I would worry about our league positioning, if I'm quite honest with you. So Europe, everybody needs to get that out of their heads. It's a pipe dream. It's something for the future, 100%. It's something that we're working towards, but not for now. I think we also need to bear in mind that Brighton are a good team. The fact that they're in 17th is bizarre to me. The squad depth they have, the individual quality that they have, far surpasses many teams that are down there. So it's not an embarrassment. It's not an embarrassment for me to lose to them twice. It's really not. In our first season, they've consolidated as a Premier League club for a number of years now, and I think we'll finish higher than they've ever finished in the Premier League. So there you go. You know, I think if they hit 41 points, or 42 points, they've got a club record. You know, you look at where we are. So you've got what we've done is unbelievable this season. It is staggering. But where Brighton are, the players they've got, the level of players they've got, you know, Sanchez in net, who's an absolutely superb goalkeeper. Lewis Dunk, who I don't know how he's not been called up for England before when you're getting Harry Maguire in there. Ben White. You look at the midfield with Yves Bissouma, who's absolutely quality. Trossard, you know, who's going to be a superstar. They've got players all over the pitch, and they've got depth. You know, Trossard comes off, McAllister comes on, who's been brilliant for them this season, who was brilliant at Ellen Road. They're just a couple of examples. They have a very, very good squad. So it's our first season in the Premier League. I think it showed yesterday the lack of depth we have, the lack of quality in depth that we have as well, which I think is a key point that we need to remember here. As I say, we need to contextualise it. We've had an unbelievable season. And, you know, we can do a match review, but when you're doing a match review, it's very easy to say, well, let's just focus on the match. But you have got to contextualise the whole season. You've got to contextualise more facets than just this match, because we've been unbeaten in 6. You know, we've played some of the world's best clubs. You look at what Chelsea did to Madrid midweek, where Chelsea should have beaten Madrid. You know, we could have beaten Chelsea. Manchester United, what they did to Roma, they didn't score against us. Liverpool, what, a week prior, they'd beaten Leipzig 3-0, played us. We could have won that game. So it was, you've got to contextualise it. But if we are just looking at that match in particular, it was a woeful performance. And what annoyed me more than anything is they just didn't look up for it. Looked like we were already on the beach, and that's not a blueprint of a Marcelo Bielsa side. That's not what we do. Every game is to die for. We die for this, the crest, the badge, whatever. That's what we do as a Leeds United side. That has been the hallmark of Marcelo Bielsa. Whatever game it is, we outplay the opposition. We try our hardest. I thought there was a couple of passengers on that pitch yesterday. Don't get me wrong, 2 best players are out. Two best players are out of that side, Rafinha and Calvin Phillips. For people who genuinely think that we can really go on a run without those two players, your heads are in the clouds. They really, your head is in the clouds. They are our talismans. You look at Calvin Phillips' performance last week against Manchester United. You look at his performances against all of the top clubs. He's head and shoulders above everybody else in a defensive capacity. Without Rafinha, we look toothless in attack. Completely toothless. They are the hard facts. Without Calvin, we look abject in the midfield. And going forward, without Rafinha, we are completely toothless. We don't have that cutting edge going forward. At the start of the season, we did, 100%, but I think we're catching a lot of teams by surprise at the start of the season. I don't think they were giving Leeds enough respect at the start of the season. That's why you saw, for me, exceptional performances from Helder Costa at the start, exceptional performances from Matthias Klich at the start. And I think that's changed now. Teams know what Leeds are about. They adapt to Leeds. And you've got to have those players with X factor. And Calvin has the X factor. Rafinha has the X factor. You look at Tottenham Hotspur. Son has the X factor. Kane has the X factor. Aston Villa. Grealish has the X factor. Leicester. Vardy. Palace. Zaha. They all go on bad runs without the talisman. So that's you've got to take that into context, as we keep saying. The thing is, what those clubs are able to do is obviously reinforce those positions with quality. Obviously we're looking at Crystal Palace. Maybe Townsend will come in. Leicester. Maybe Iheanacho will come in. Even Villa. El Ghazi will come in. So those are players that have done it at the top level. Those are players who are proven at the top level that they can do it. Even El Ghazi's come in and been a bit of a revelation for Villa in Grealish's absence, even though they've not done that well. But what I'm trying to say is we don't have that player who can come in and replace with quality and really do a solid job. But what I would say is Robin Koch, I thought he was good yesterday. To say he was debutising in that position, I thought he was good. I thought he was solid. I thought he was the best player on the pitch for Leeds. I really did. I thought he played really, really well in terms of him coming into that position, adapting to that position, going forward. I thought he's much better in that position than Pascal Struijk has been. I think Pascal Struijk is a superb centre-back. You guys all know that with me and Pascal. But I think Koch was very good. He was going forward. He was winning headers. I thought he was decent. I really do. But yeah, there were a few things in that game. Alioski, listen, let's talk about it. Let's be real. He's not a starting left back in the Premier League. The fact that Napoli are in for him absolutely stunned me. I genuinely could not believe that, and that's no disparaging comment on Alioski. I just don't think he's at that level. You look a pure striker of the ball, good at getting forward. He can be clinical. He's got 2 assists, so he's got as many assists as Roberts this season. So he's decent in those aspects, but to formulate a Premier League player, you also need to have calmness. You also need to have composure. You also need to be good one-on-one defending. Your focus has to be at 100% every single time. Your concentration, your decision-making is paramount. His decision-making is 1 out of 10 for me. He's a shocking individual when it comes to decision making, always giving away fouls, and people turn around and but well, he's been good the last so and so games, he's been solid. He gets away with giving fouls away on the edge of our box weekly. He's bailed out by us defending set pieces, which has improved. Alioski gives away foul after foul after foul after foul on the edge of our box, and it's not good enough because yesterday was an indication of how we got punished by his mistakes. Both goals were avoidable, but the first goal, what's he doing? Giving away the free kick again on the edge of the box like he normally does. Leeds' inability to defend it. Klich appalling defending from that. I mean, the cross didn't beat the first man. Went underneath Klich's foot. Carnage in the box. They get a penalty. Alioski, for some reason, decides to rugby tackle him. Decision making shocking. Matthias Klich, for me, he's an international player in the Premier League now. I think his time with Leeds is done. I will say that's my personal opinion. I don't think he looks up to it anymore. I thought he looks knackered all the time. I know he's supposed to be carrying an injury, but his head's always down. He can never follow his man. Scott McTominay ran him ragged in that Manchester United game. It was an embarrassing 1v1 watch, really. Yves Bissouma's done the exact same to him yesterday. He tore him apart yesterday. He looked divisions above him, and his game yesterday was summed up by Neil Maupay turning him, and by the time Matthias had turned round, Maupay was 15 yards ahead of him. That's how it was summed up yesterday, and I think for the money that we can get for him now, and being an international player and him being classed as a Premier League player, I would let him go. Thank you for your amazing service. You've been unbelievable. But Pablo Hernandez must have been on the bench yesterday, seeing Click get 90 minutes ahead of him and being like, what do I need to do to get on this pitch? It's unbelievable. Roberts, I thought he started well but faded, and this is what we start seeing from Tyler quite frequently. He starts well, does little bits here and there, but there needs to be an end product. There has to start being an end product in the Premier League. I know he's young, all this sort of stuff, but he's getting starts. He's had 12 starts now. 22 appearances, 12 starts, 2 assists. As I say, Alioski's got as many assists as him. That has to improve for a cam. It has to improve. Although, I thought Bielsa got it wrong yesterday. The starting lineup, I don't understand why Dallas is right wing. We've not seen that since, 2015, under Warnock or whatever. We've not seen that since then. I don't understand why you take him out of midfield. I think you see the best of Roberts when Dallas is in midfield. Poveda to start would have been an option yesterday. It wouldn't have been the best option, but you don't take Dallas out of that central midfield role for me at all. And, he got a couple of subs wrong, did Bielsa. As I said, the starting 11. How did Click play the whole game? I've no idea. Dallas, as I said, right wing. Rodrigo for Bamford. Why not put Rodrigo on as well as having Bamford on there? Let's see what those two can do together. We were losing at that point. There was no attacking impetus at all. Why don't we stick them both on together, change it around a little bit, go to maybe a 4-4-2. We didn't do that. He took Bamford off for Rodrigo. Bamford, who I thought was quiet, but that substitution never works. Rodrigo for Bamford. It's not worked once this season, so why would it work now? And, he's completely isolated against 3 giants at the back. But I thought the fundamental of yesterday was the sloppy passing and concentration. Something that going forward, we've had the past 3 or 4 games, really, in my opinion, in terms of in key situations. The ball's maybe too long, it's too short. But as well as the youngsters, there's a lot of people talking about the youngsters and us seeing them. Well, we're not seeing the youngsters, maybe because they're not impressing Bielsa enough. Clearly, they're not impressing Bielsa enough because we'd have seen them by now. But I think Bielsa will have learned a lot from certain players yesterday. It'd be interesting to see if we see Click again in the Leeds shirt. Alioski, he has got options there, depending on whether or not he wants to go to the youth or whether or not he wants to switch it around a little bit formation-wise. But it was a really, really bad performance yesterday. There's no way getting around that. A lot of people talking about us going and getting another defensive midfielder. That will not happen. Koch, for me, is that replacement for Calvin Phillips when he's out. What else are we going to do? We're going to go out and spend 20 million on a replacement who's happy with sitting on the bench when Phillips is fit. It's just not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But yeah, listen, it is what it is. We move on. We move on to Tottenham Hotspur. As I say, the depth does worry me. If Phillips and Rafinha are out for this Tottenham game, I do worry. Of course I do. It's going to be a tough game with those two playing anywhere. But without them, it's going to be a really, really difficult game. So hopefully they are back. But I think yesterday just reinforced that we need a really successful transfer window. We need to get it right in the transfer window. Harrison needs competition. I thought he was poor yesterday. No one calls Harrison out ever because he's got credit in the bank. What's he got? 7 goals, 6 assists, which has been brilliant for him. But I think the past month he's been very poor. Goes back more than he goes forward. His balls in are horrendous at this moment in time, beating everyone. He was putting balls in yesterday and they're all landing at Poveda. He needs to get those balls in right. The corners were appalling. Absolutely hideous yesterday. And that needs to be rectifying because now we have threat from set pieces. And having, what did we have, 5 corners in the first 10 minutes? I think 4 of them hit the first man. They have to be better than that. They have to be better. He needs competition for me, Jack Harrison. We need competition out wide. We need more quality out wide because we cannot just rely on Rafinha because there's going to be spouts next season. If he's still at Leeds, where he's going to be injured, then what? Phillips, he's going to be injured. We see Phillips out 3 or 4 times a season with either suspension or injury. We seriously need to get it right. Whether or not that's playing Koch more towards the end of the season so we get a little bit more fluidity and understanding with Koch in that midfield. I don't know. That's for the manager to decide. But guys, hope you've enjoyed this. Please let me know in the comment section below exactly what you thought. Like the video. As I say, just tell us what you thought of the game yesterday. I'm really interested to hear your thoughts. Have a lovely Sunday and I'll see you in a bit.